Hello everyone, today we're presenting Venmo Better Than Cash, a case that explores how Venmo transformed peer-to-peer payments with its social and mobile-first approach. Despite its rapid growth, Venmo faces key challenges. How can it monetize effectively, compete with rivals like Zelle and Cash App, and sustain its advantage within PayPal's ecosystem? In this presentation, we'll analyze Venmo's business model, competitive positioning, and strategic challenges, offering more insights into future growth. Here we have a rundown of learning objectives and topics that we will go over today. For example, the company background, understanding how Venmo's business model works, and its revenue generation strategies, customer base, and differentiation in the market, looking at the overall landscape versus Zelle and different business concepts. Then we will look at key metrics and looking towards the future, such as identifying strategic challenges and its competitive positioning in peer-to-peer payment market. We will assess that a lot. Then we will look at social feeds, fraud and controversy, and again, looking at competitors. We will understand the network effects in digital platforms and how its user base has grown based on users. We will additionally look at growth strategies and moving forward and how they can expand to become more profitable. Then we will round up and look at key terms and discussion questions to overall discuss the impact of Venmo's social features and its importance in driving user engagement and just overall digital payment platforms. Venmo, a digital wallet and peer-to-peer payment platform, was founded in 2009 by Andrew Cortina and Ikram Magdan Ismail. They gained $100,000 from investors and launched the app in 2010. Venmo started as a way for users to send money to one another through text messages. However, the platform rapidly evolved, integrating social features such as payment sharing and comments, which helps distinguish it from other payment platforms. In 2012, Venmo was acquired by PayPal shortly after being acquired by Braintree, which allowed the platform to gain access to a larger user base and a more established brand presence. Venmo quickly became popular among millennials, largely due to its user-friendly interface, social networking features, and ability to facilitate quick payments without the need for traditional banking services. Despite its growing user base, Venmo faced challenges in its monetizing platform, and as its basic services were free for consumers. The platform's revenue primarily came from transaction fees, including charges for instant transfers and fees paid by businesses for processing payments. Venmo's social features also allowed users to share transactions, which differentiate it from competitors like Zelle and Cash App. As of its acquisition by PayPal, Venmo had to navigate the complexities of integrating within PayPal's broad payment ecosystem, while also maintaining its unique identity in the competitive digital payment landscape.
Let's look at the industry landscape for Venmo. Venmo falls under the financial services sector as well as the fintech sector, which are both rapidly growing. Falls under the financial services industry because it includes peer-to-peer as well as peer-to-business transactions that are done through their online platform. And it falls under the fintech sector because of the financial as well as the non-financial components that Venmo offers, such as their communication kind of as a social media platform. What is fintech? Fintech is a blend of financial and non-financial companies that offer innovative technological solutions, more specifically in the finance field. So what are some of the key factors that fall under fintech? This includes things such as asset management, wealth management, banking, insurance, and what Venmo falls under, which is payment and transfers, as well as the general social aspect where you're able to communicate with friends, see what other people are doing alongside those payments and transfers. And what is happening these days is that there are traditional financial institutions that are having collaborations with fintech companies. And a great example of this is Zelle and Bank of America. Before we take a deeper look into Venmo, we have to look at one of its competitors and also one of the biggest stepping stones for the fintech industry, which was Zelle. So Zelle offers near instant fund transfers between US bank accounts, one of the biggest ones being Bank of America, but it also partners with major banks such as JP Morgan and Wells Fargo. Some of the key milestones that Zelle has gone through is that they integrated over 5,100 financial institutions, and they use both consumers and small businesses for their seamless transactions. And this is all done through the banks. One of the big differences between Zelle and Venmo is that there's not actually a balance that stays on your app. Like we know Venmo, you can have your Venmo balance. You can transfer money in to hold there to pay your friends or pay anybody that you have to, whereas Zelle is strictly bank account to bank account. Some key metrics that we look at are the year-on-year growth that Zelle's had. Their payment values have gone up tremendously, as well as their transaction volumes, which both increased by 59% and 49% respectively. Next, let's look at Venmo's business concept. Venmo operates a service-based model for mobile money transfers. Unlike Zelle, this one includes peer-to-peer and peer-to-business that does have a working balance within the platform itself. They also offer things now such as the Venmo credit card. But one of the biggest differences between Venmo and other peer-to-peer and peer-to-business transaction services online is that it adds a social networking aspect to those financial transactions. And something that I learned recently is that now you're able to split checks between your party and people who you have in groups together on a much more easy way rather than just calculating it yourself. And like I said before, it is a hybrid between a digital wallet and a social platform. Like you see here on the side in the photo, you're able to keep track of your friends, keep track of your transactions, communicate through the app itself, request for payment from your friends, or whoever you have to pay, as well as small businesses or businesses in general. Venmo is backed by PayPal, and they saw significant financial growth in 2021. Their net revenues were 25.4 billion, which was up 17% from 2020, and they had a total payment volume of 0.31 trillion, which was 31% increase from 2020. Next, let's look at some key metrics for Venmo. The key metrics show 2021 versus 2020, and we can see the active accounts were gone up to 426 million in 2021, where they were 377 million the year before, which is almost a 50 million active account user increase. And on the right side, we see the graph that shows the Venmo users by age. We can see that the demographic is pretty evenly spread, except for the 65 plus group, which is something that is, I think, anticipated. And the 25 to 44 area is what covers almost 50% of the users for Venmo. Their payment transactions in 2021, which is individual transactions, went up from 4.41 billion to 5.34 billion, as well as their payments or transactions per user, which increased from 40.9 to 45.4. Additionally, their payment volume or money transferred between one account and another nationwide or by their active users was 339.5 billion, whereas it was only 277.1 billion the year before, which is a significant increase. Additionally, their transaction margin decreased from 55.9 in 2020 to 52.3 in 2021. Transaction margin is the difference between the amount that the platform itself makes on each transaction that it has minus the costs that it has to perform those transactions. Next, let's look at the future of peer-to-peer payments as a whole, but also in terms of Venmo. So peer-to-peer payments continue to grow every year, with tech giants such as Apple entering the space with Apple Pay, which is similar to Venmo, where you can have your peer-to-peer transactions, or even in some cases now peer-to-business or being able to pay through Amazon and use your Apple Cash, use your Apple Pay. However, the main difference being that the social aspect is not directly included in the app itself, but Apple is still able to use Apple Pay through things such as iMessages to be able to have that kind of social aspect that Venmo also offers. Now, in terms of Venmo specifically for their future, some of their key revenue streams include credit card fees on their Venmo credit card, their instant transfer fees for taking out money from your Venmo balance and actually putting them into your bank account, as well as their ATM withdrawals. Now, some of the areas that Venmo has improved or some of their new developments, Venmo put out a Venmo card, which integrates the balance in the app with real world payments. So being able to pay at the store, being able to pay on Amazon, things like that, which is something similar that Apple Pay has brought. In addition to that, they have cryptocurrency transactions that are available. You can buy, you can sell, and you can hold cryptocurrency directly through the Venmo app itself. And then alongside the Venmo card, there's also the Venmo credit card, which offers cashback rewards and seamless in-app management, similar to most credit cards. Now, the biggest challenge for Venmo is determining if their social payment model, having that social aspect with their regular peer-to-peer and peer-to-business transactions online, seeing if that model is actually sustainable and if it's unique enough to continue growing their revenue and not have their margins decrease.
That's a few of social feeds of Venmo's. So Venmo's social feed differentiates itself from its competitors. To be more descriptive, they describe in the case that Venmo is more Facebook and PayPal combined, but with a better user experience. I know I've had used PayPal way back in the day, and it was just a whole lot to handle to use. But according to the CEO of of Venmo, users check Venmo 4 to 5 times a week just to see friends' transactions. I know I've had that happen in the past when I look over, just when I'm on that social feed, because after I send something, I see, oh, there's a bunch of other people sending stuff, or my friends as well. Um, with having this open social aspect, it brings up a few privacy concerns. So by default, transactions are public, excluding certain amounts if you do have that, or you can have that public as well. So I've seen that happen, and that makes it like for privacy if you don't want that out there. There's certain emoji descriptions and timestamps that you put on your Venmo transactions that can reveal your personal habits. The researcher Hang Do T. Duck, if I'm saying that correctly, analyzed over 207 million transactions in 2017, uncovering personal data trends. So exactly like that above, that he could use those emojis, descriptions, and timestamps to show what these people were spending their money on. Um, a few of regulatory action that's going on with Venmo back in 2018 that we'll get into a little bit more later. Things that have happened with them in February, February 2018, the Federal Trade Commission forces Venmo to conduct a settlement with PayPal over privacy practices. Um, so what they forcing Venmo and PayPal to do is provide clear privacy disclosures to help these privacy concerns, stop representing or misrepresenting its service, offer better privacy setting explanations, so it's easier to be more privatized on your own account, and undergo third party compliance checks for 10 years just to make sure these things happen. To explain this regulatory action a little bit more further, we're going to discuss the fraud and controversy that happened around 2018 that led up to that. So in 2018, there was a fraud surge with Venmo. So what this fraud surge was surges in payments of fraud that caused higher level than expected of losses in revenue. They lost around 40 million in just operating losses in just Q1 of 2018. So that's a whole lot. Some of the responses, what they did to counteract this fraud and these things. So Venmo itself blacklisted thousands of users, and they've removed instant transfers to bank accounts. So there's a 3-day thing just to make sure these things are um, accurate and real. So to go a little bit more further, more to the risk of the peer-to-peer payments, so P2P, instant transactions equal no fraud protections, unlike credit cards. So like I was describing above, having this instant transfer is there's not any protection. There's no like background check into the payment, so into the transfer as well. So having this protection that they did helps it a lot more. So fraud and payments has increased 733% since 2016, so that's a whole lot. There's typically no refunds for mistakes or scam payments on these type of apps, so when this happens, it actually causes a lot more problems for the company and the users themselves. So we're going to compare Venmo to its competitors. I have a little chart here that we're going to go over to explain it in a lot easier terms. So launch years of these companies: Venmo started in 2009, Cash App started in 2013, and Zelle started in 2017. The companies are owned by all different people. So Venmo is owned by PayPal, Square Corporation owns Cash App, and major U.S. banks own Zelle. A few transactions fees that these companies have, depending, vary from company to company. Cash App has and Venmo have pretty close. That they're the exact same. So they have free debit to bank, if just and 3% for credit cards. Zelle is free for bank transfers. So if you both have a bank account, you guys can transfer for free. I've used that many times. Uh, Deposit speed uh, are pretty similar as well, but they vary. Venmo is standard 1 to 3 days. It's free, but instant you have a 1.7% fee. For Cash App, next day is instant for free. I mean, excuse me, next day is free, and instant is a 1.5% fee. Zelle has an instant for it's instant for participating bank users. Like I said, the reason, if you both have a bank account, you can send the money and immediately show up in the other account. So social features across these apps, and this is where Venmo has their competitive advantage, is that they have a public transaction fee. So that's what separates them. No other company or app does this. So Cash App and Zelle don't show any type of public transaction fee, um, and that's really what separates them from the competition. Certain debit card availability: Cash App and Venmo both have where you can get a physical and virtual debit card through their apps, but Zelle does not. The primary users for these apps and companies are general consumers for Venmo, just younger individuals, probably around my age. Cash App is individuals and businesses more, so they have two different programs on that app. And for Zelle, it's just specifically blank users, like we've said above. For privacy concerns for these apps, public Venmo has public by default, so you must change this in the settings if you want to have a private transactions and things of that sort. Cash App standard privacy settings, they're normal. Right when you open making an account, it has them. And Zelle, on the other hand, is integrated into banking service apps, so it has more. It's very more secure. The only way to check these transactions is on your own end and in your own bank app.
In terms of Venmo's rankings, the following results. During our analysis, we found that Venmo processed $229.5 billion, which is very well, but it still has less than half of Zelle's $490 billion. However, they are ahead of Cash App, who has $121.4 billion. On the Apple App Store, Venmo is currently ranked at number 3, which is behind Cash App, who has the top place of number 1, and PayPal, who has number 2. On iOS, Venmo has the highest rated customer satisfaction with 4.9 stars, but still trails behind PayPal, who has 4.8 stars, Cash App with 4.7, and Zelle, who have 4.8 stars. However, on Android's App Store, Venmo has a lower rating with 4.2 stars, trailing behind PayPal at 4.4 stars, Cash App at 4.6, and Zelle with 4.3. All of these rankings are out of 5 stars. Some of the challenges that Venmo faces. Venmo ranks significantly lower on Google Play than on the Apple App Store, suggesting issues with user experience, features, or even performance on Android devices in comparison to Apple devices. Unlike Venmo's competitors, Cash App and Zelle, Venmo charges for instant transfers, which could drive users towards competitors that offer this for free. Zelle dominates in total payment volume, and Cash App leads in overall popularity across both app stores. All of these are playing a factor into why Venmo is not doing as well as its competitors. And if they fix these issues, they could potentially be better. How can Venmo move forward and be better? While Venmo is heavily known, it is still a leading payment platform. But in order for Venmo to be completely effective, it must improve its Android experience. It must offer free instant transfers and expand to differentiate itself from Zelle and Cash App. A combination of technical improvements, pricing adjustments, and strategic partnerships could help Venmo regain its competitive edge in the digital payment space. Some other things that Venmo can do to be better is to implement AI-driven fraud detection to prevent scams, an issue that has impacted Venmo users way more than Zelle users. They can also add on features like two-factor authentication, which can help boost trust between the consumer and the business by adding a biometric verification like fingerprint or Face ID. They can also implement a dispute resolution, making it easier for users to dispute any unauthorized transactions, which could improve user confidence. Venmo should also consider having lower transaction fees for businesses. Venmo could attract more merchants by offering a lower rate than PayPal or even Square. Venmo is currently only available in the US, while its competitors PayPal and Cash App have global usage. If they were to expand their markets to Canada, the United Kingdom, and other countries alike, this could boost growth. A common issue that many of the customers encounter is the limited amount of customer service options. So, if Venmo were to have a 24/7 live chat or phone support, many users will feel more comfortable getting their issues responded to very quickly. In conclusion, Venmo needs to think beyond just a payment app. They should also consider positioning themselves as a full service financial platform. By improving security, expanding globally, enhancing business services, and integrating more financial tools, Venmo could surpass Cash App and get into real competitive competition with Zelle and PayPal if they use any of these tactics used above.
Some key terms: digital payments. Those are electronic methods of transferring money that have become more popular than traditional cash. A P2P payment is a system that allows individuals to send money directly to one another using an app like Venmo. Transaction fees. That's the cost associated with processing payments. For Venmo, it includes fees for instant transfers, credit card payments, etc. A few other ones: Venmo balance. That's the amount of money held in a user's Venmo account, which can be used for payments or transferred to a linked bank account. Social payments. That's the aspect of Venmo where users can share payment descriptions, such as paying for dinner or splitting bills with friends, making transactions more social. More key terms like security and privacy. Those are just issues related to protecting personal financial data, transaction information, and ensuring safe usage of payment apps like Venmo. A mobile wallet, digital version of physical wallet that stores information about your credit, debit, and gift cards, allowing for mobile payments. You got bank integration, you got transaction limits, Venmo business accounts, payment authentications. Those process like PIN codes, fingerprint recognition, or other security measures used to verify transactions on Venmo. Then you got instant transfers, financial inclusion, and cryptocurrency, which is Venmo's ability to allow users to buy, hold, and sell certain cryptocurrencies, expanding its services offerings beyond traditional digital payments. A few discussion questions we have is: one, how has Venmo changed the way people perceive and use money compared to traditional cash transactions? Our second question is: What are the potential privacy and security concerns associated with using Venmo for personal transactions? Our third question is, how do Venmo's fees compare to those of other digital payment platforms, and what impact does that have on its user base? Our fourth question is, in what ways has Venmo influenced the social aspect of paying for goods and services? Is this a positive or negative trend? And finally, how might Venmo's business model evolve in the future as digital payments continue to grow and compete with other platforms like PayPal or Apple Pay?